It's interesting that they come up against Spurs because Conte very clearly has a definite way that he wants them to approach their games. It's a bit different from what he's done previously, but there's definitely a Spurs blueprint in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, I mean, I've been surprised at how, now apparently Conte doesn't like his football being described as counter-attacking, and if you bring it up in a press conference, he will correct you.
Really?
But, yeah, apparently, but it is very different.
You now want to interview Conte and tell him about counter-attacking, don't you?
but it's very different to what he did with Juventus and with Italy, and to a certain extent, some with Chelsea, although I think he kind of did lean into that with Chelsea gradually. Now, I've been told separately by people who know him in Italy that there's a thinking that one of the reasons that Spurs look a little bit stale at the moment is because he's trying to conserve their energy and their kind of their physical output for the season for after the World Cup. Right. So he's consciously kind of having them playing a bit more restrained right now, and that could prove, if it's true, could prove.
Did you say restrained? He's just parking the bus.
Well, I mean,
Mourinho got the sack for that, doing the same thing, basically.
You know the thing is, when I watched them at the Emirates again, I don't know what else you'd call them. You don't call them counter-attacking simply because they were so deep in their own box. There's no other way that you can describe how they were playing. I thought that they weren't tight enough on people, and you know what I mean. We know that they're capable of breaking and bam, Harry Kane or Son, and then the game's over. But you can't. I don't think you can describe Spurs as anything at the moment other than counter-attacking because they haven't got that player in the midfield that links the play so you can play out and play like a kind of like a possession game, and then people make runs off of the fact that you're building through the midfield. So I can't understand why he corrects that, because I see Tottenham as a pure counter-attacking side.
Even the midfielders he signed generally tend to be runners rather than actual passers.
Yes.
And they find themselves, level on points with Manchester City. They're getting the results that way, and it's why it's quite an interesting comparison with Manchester United, in that they're sort of playing a certain way, Spurs. The fans aren't particularly buying into it. I know quite a few Spurs fans who've been saying, we've not been that good this season. Even North London derby aside, even in the games we've been getting results, we've not been playing that well. And yet they find themselves in a really strong position. It seems like, if you're saying it's about getting ready for the World Cup and preparing, it feels really well calculated.
I mean, that's a potentially interesting thing about their season, whether maybe in January, February, they explode and we're hailing Conte as a genius, that he maybe sees this as a kind of an opportunity for Spurs.
That's almost like a reverse Mourinho, isn't it?
Yeah,
he would sort of send teams out fast at the start of the season and then tighten it up for the title run-in.
But we won't know the truth of that until after Christmas.
And then as well, Miggy, what he might have a player in mind that come in. You don't know that. Like with them, when they're fitness and them just staying amongst it. It feels at the moment like they're creeping up. No one's speaking about them too much. Everybody's talking about how they're not this or they're not that. But at the same time, we've got an elite manager with elite players in Tottenham's side. And if that happens, Kels, where all of a sudden he adds a couple of players to that after the World Cup and then they're still in touch, you have to start looking at Spurs, because they're not playing unbelievably right now and they're in touch.
Yeah. And with their two stars firing, basically.
Yes.
Two stars absolutely firing, and a brilliant, rock-solid relationship between their main star, Harry Kane, and the manager, Antonio Conte, which again is a kind of a contrast to what's going on at Manchester United, where you feel that Ten Hag would rather not have to factor Ronaldo into the equation. But conversely, at Spurs, you've got someone who is absolutely the person that the team seems to be guaranteed to get the best out of.
Yes, and we're talking about somebody who, that's it now with Harry. You'd have thought that he's going to be at Tottenham now.
I mean, there's all these murmurs of Bayern Munich, but I just can't see him moving away.
With all due respect to Bayern Munich, if Conte's staying, I'm Harry Kane, I'm probably staying, because, like I say, you just look at it, and the way that we don't know what's going to happen after the World Cup. We don't know how everything's going to pan out because of having in this crazy times, crazy. But the fact is, if they come back and they're in touch, and I just feel like something is going to happen this season that is not in the ordinary. I really feel that.
I'd agree, because it's such an unknown.
Yeah.
And it's what Harry Kane wants to achieve now in his career, isn't it? I mean, you could go to Bayern Munich, win the title in Germany, maybe have a chance at winning the Champions League.
He still wouldn't get the kind of recognition. And I'm not being disrespectful to the Bundesliga or Bayern Munich, but if Harry Kane stayed here with Conte, you have to say that's the best chance, especially trying to beat a City side. That's the best chance you've got of trying to win the Premier League here with what they're trying to do. So why take the chance of going there? And even if you do win the Bundesliga. People are not going to give you the credit for it.
It didn't hurt Robert Lewandowski, did it?
No, it's not hurt Robert Lewandowski, but at the same time, you know, we're talking about Harry Kane, who hasn't won anything.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
it's whether or not you take that gamble of staying at Spurs and potentially not winning a trophy, although Conte's won trophies everywhere he's been. So you put your eggs in that basket.
I'd rather stay at Spurs and try there because of the stature that he'll have there. He'll probably get a statue and all that sort of stuff if he can do that. But
do you think he'll have one eye on Alan Shearer's Premier League scoring record? Do you think there's a personal achievement in there as well?
Without a doubt, you could see that that's something that he would he'd go for, and it's something that he's probably going for. You know, you'd have to say that with Harry Kane, and you know, he's the kind of player that I'd love for his loyalty to the club. And we saw what he wanted to do with City. We knew he wanted to leave, but his loyalty to the club, I'd love for him to have a real blast and get something because he's been an unbelievable pro.
Yeah.
Do you think they will win a trophy with Harry Kane at Tottenham?
I think that
under Conte, yeah.
I think under Conte they will,
sure.
and I think that, like I say, this season because it's so different with the World Cup, with them being in and around it, with Conte, he's going to push that team. You know, maybe come after January, Kells, they'll blast out a bit more and they'll really go for it because you're still not seeing like Son at his real best. Kulusevski's not at his really best yet. We've seen Bentancur starting to do a bit. We know Harry Kane's going to score, but you have to say if they add something to it and City keep slipping up like they did the other day.
Why City? You can just say Arsenal. Arsenal may slip up.
No, with City maybe slipping up, they might be able to catch them. So, you know, we'll see how it goes.
We'll finish second behind Arsenal.